Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira. I am a Brazilian attorney, and today I'm going to be talking about the marriage-based permanent residency in Brazil. This is going to be an overview, and we're going to be addressing the main aspects of this residency that is highly sought by spouses of Brazilian citizens all over the world. There are other names to which people refer when talking about the marriage-based residency in Brazil. You could hear something like the marriage visa in Brazil, or the marriage stay in Brazil, or the Brazilian green card. There are many other names. So what is that? This is basically the opportunity for a spouse of a Brazilian citizen to live in Brazil potentially forever, not under a restricted or limited amount of time. Interesting to note that there is a specific reason why people should be looking to get this residency, and the reason should be to live permanently in Brazil. Other important aspect is like how much time you should be reserving for this process. For the document side alone, you should have at least a couple of months to obtain the required documents. There is a great deal of legalization and authentication, and those processes, they take time. Therefore, you should consider that into your planning. For the application itself, the application must be done in Brazil, and in our experience, once you are in Brazil with all the required documents, this application time may range between a month to 3 months. After securing the visa, you may need to wait an additional couple of months for the resident card, which is also known as the RNM card, to be issued and made available for you to pick up at the same Polícia Federal or Federal Police in which you apply initially. There is a large number of documents required for this application, and important to note, the Polícia Federal itself is going to tell you that they may decide to ask even more documents than those described in their initial list of documents. They are making available a list of the most commonly requested documents in the description below. Common documents are going to include a birth certificate, a marriage certificate recorded in Brazil, and criminal records. In our experience, these are the most difficult to obtain documents. We have a specific video addressing each of those documents and how to authenticate and legalize those documents for your application in Brazil. Secondary documents are going to include declarations, proof of income, and proof of address. In terms of cost, aside the need for you to hire an attorney to assist, there are roughly $100 in government fees and roughly potentially $500 to gather, issue, and authenticate all the documents that you're going to need to apply. Our experience, legal services to assist you with the application are going to range from $1,000 for local law firms not able to communicate in English to $2,000 for law firms better prepared to assist foreign citizens with their applications in Brazil. The marriage-based residency in Brazil is probably one of the highest immigration benefits available in Brazilian immigration. It does allow you to stay for as long or as little as you want in Brazil, in addition to opening a door for you to apply to the Brazilian citizenship in the future. Possibly the only downside for such a benefit is going to be the tax residency. In other words, once you secure the legal residency in Brazil, this is going to come automatically. Of course, you don't need to ask to become a tax resident in Brazil. That's actually a presumption from the Brazilian law that once you become a legal resident, you are also a tax resident. However, if your plan is not to stay forever in Brazil, there is a workaround, or better saying, there is an opportunity for you to tell the Brazilian taxation system, the Brazilian Revenue Service, that you're gonna live abroad for good, and therefore you're gonna file the so-called Declaração de Saída Definitiva, or in English, the Tax Exit Declaration. When done correctly, that would give you an opportunity to turn off the Brazil taxation on your global income. This video represents an introduction to the theme only. You should not rely on any information without securing proper legal representation. A common question we have here at the firm is, what about dependents? Let's say the Brazilian spouse marries with a foreign citizen who happens to have children from a prior relationship. What about his children? Well, thankfully, there is the so-called family reunion visa. The family reunion visa is going to try to mirror the benefit of the foreign citizen to the foreign citizen's dependents. So, in our example, if the foreign citizen has legal residency in Brazil as the father. So now that you know more about the marriage-based residency in Brazil, you may be asking, okay, how do I apply? In theory, it's not necessary for an applicant to have an attorney. However, it's highly advisable. In our experience, foreign applicants are going to have difficulty when collecting the documents and interacting with the Brazilian Federal Police, particularly because some of the wrong answers may lead to a denial of such benefit. The recommendation for a legal counsel is even more important. In terms of where to apply, you must apply for the residency in Brazil. It's very common in our consultations for foreign citizens to say, listen, but I'm living abroad and I cannot stay in Brazil for more than a couple of months. That's the case, you may want to wait until you're gonna be able to stay in Brazil for at least 3 months, ideally even more. Notice that one of the requirements for you to apply for the residency is that you are actually living in Brazil. And you're gonna need to sign an affidavit to that effect under penalty of perjury. So, making sure this is crystal clear, you cannot apply for the residency by going to a Brazilian consulate or Brazilian embassy abroad. Also interesting to note that the way of applying for the residency may change slightly depending in which city in Brazil you're gonna be attending the final interview. For instance, in Rio de Janeiro, you're most probably gonna be attending an interview at the Polícia Federal at the airport Santos Dumont in the city of Rio de Janeiro. São Paulo, instead, you're gonna go to the bairro of Lapa, in which there is one of the largest federal police stations in the country handling immigration applications. And police stations are going to have slightly different requirements and interpretation of the law. However, in our experience, the main requirements are going to be applicable no matter where you are. Another common question is it guaranteed I'm going to get the residency? In our experience, as long as you don't have any criminal records that are too serious and you are able to provide all the documents required, the chances of achieving the permanent residency are very high. Still have a question about the process? You can schedule a consultation today with our attorneys to have a look into your specific situation. So how do you like the Brazilian residency by marriage? Let us know in the comments below and see you in our next videos.